We can see people starting to join.
Nice. So glad to have you here, everyone. Hello and welcome to this event about women entrepreneurship. This is I Don't Know How She Co-Founds It. And this is an event co-organized by EIT alumni and EIT women. Welcome, everyone. I want to introduce my co-host, Maria. She is Communication and Research Manager of EIT Women. Maria, welcome.
Hello, Yolanda. I'm really delighted to be here co-hosting this event. I've really been looking forward to this for a long time. So I think we're going to have very interesting and enlightening conversations with
Definitely.
the amazing women we have as speakers today. Definitely.
Yes, it's going to be excited. And we just want to let you know that this event is going to be recorded for the alumni community. So heads up there.
Yeah. As we wait for people to join the call, we've prepared a small poll to get to know you a little bit better now that we are doing this event online. So you will see a poll appearing on your screens as we speak with 3 small questions. Given that it's summer, we thought that it would be interesting to know what your favorite ice cream flavor is. What is it for you, Yolanda?
I love vanilla. I'm very classic and easy to please. What is yours, Maria?
I'm actually a big fan of cookies and cream. When it came out, I really got crazy by it. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think that's also a very good flavor. It's like the best of 2 worlds, right?
Exactly. We can see. We also wanted to know where you're joining from, because we could see from the list of potential attendees that were coming from basically all over the world.
Yes, and it is very nice also to see that many of you are not part of the EIT alumni community. So we are very excited to have you in, and we hope that after this event, you're going to sign up for being part of the EIT women community and the EIT alumni, health alumni group. We're looking forward to including you.
Shall we see the results?
That'd be perfect. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's see what comes up. Ha, you win.
I won. Vanilla, yeah.
The classic flavor. And then we can see most of the people are coming from Northern and Western Europe.
Yeah.
Central as well. Southern a little bit, but most of us are from Europe.
And we have 70% that have not founded a startup or co-founded. That's great. I hope we will give you enough energy and encourage you to do so. And to find the right partner to do it, right, Maria?
Indeed. I will now go for introducing a little bit what we are going to see in the event of today. So we're going to start with a little bit of an introduction of the organizations that are behind this event, the EIT Health Alumni, EIT Women, and eForce. Then we will move on to our speakers, and each of them will give a small 10-minute presentation on their co-founding experience. And we will close the event with a panel discussion, for which we have prepared a set of 4 questions, and then we will leave room for questions from the audience. We have a little bit of a surprise for the end. Yolanda, do you want to introduce it?
Yes, for all of you who stay tuned until the end of our event, you will be able to win a giveaway for 10 people. So stay tuned and you will see our surprises at the very end. So I will continue. These little QR codes, you will see them throughout the whole event. Please click them, like turn on your camera and just scan the QR code with your phone, and then you will be able to see where to join us and join our teams. That will be very, very awesome. We would really like that. And well, to continue with, you have heard us talking a lot about the European Institute for Innovation in Technology, EIT, but what is this about? So the European Institute for Innovation and Technology is a unique European initiative that incentives innovation and entrepreneurship across Europe with one very, very simple idea. Through diversity, there is strength. So EIT Health is one of the 6 innovation communities, and EIT Women what do is represents women across the 6 communities. And we are right here below EIT Health. We are the alumni, and what we do, it's basically, we bring together people that have been part of either an innovation, an accelerator activity, or any special event from EIT Health. So any of you that now participated in this event can now register as EIT Health alumni. And this is very cool, because what we do is that we bring social and health professionals that will be the health leaders of the future. That is what we aim for. And we do this by giving you traineeships, by giving you access to events. By giving you traineeships, and also by giving you free tickets to the main health summits, and many other ways that you can collaborate with us. This is a little bit how the EIT Health alumni looks like. So I am representative of the Benelux area, and together with other 6 people all over the Benelux area, we have a lot of fun organizing events and things for you. Audrey is the leader of this area, and she is today actually our Zoom wizard. She is taking care of Zoom, and we also have on the heads Miriam Irle. So she is our alumni manager. But well, I don't want to continue with this, and I would like to give the space for Maria to present us EIT Women. Maria, you are muted.
Sorry about that.
You.
Thank you very much. So I am the communications manager of the board, and with me there's a team of 4 amazing women, which is Merce, Tara, Camila, and Marina. And together we're managing this network. So EIT Women is a cross-kick network of female entrepreneurs and innovators related and involved with the EIT community. So we're connecting female students, alumni, entrepreneurs, and staff related to EIT all over Europe. We were founded in 2016 as a response to 3 key issues, which you can see here on the slides. The first one is the leadership gap. This is basically related to the fact that, especially in the fields where EIT is represented, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, women are usually underrepresented in leadership positions. The second is the pay gap, which is related to the fact that usually average hourly salaries for women are still not equal for men. And then the third issue is the investment gap, which means, and it's related to the fact that women business owners, when they pitch their ideas for investors, they usually receive less money than men. In average, there's a study that says that that's around 1 million. So when we were a little bit shocked by this little facts, and what we want to do in EIT Women is bring the female EIT community together to give them a bit of a sense of community. And we do this by organizing, for example, networking events for women entrepreneurs to access business networks. We also focus on promoting female role models and showcasing stories of women to inspire the next generation of female entrepreneurs. And we also organize trainings on skills that the female EIT community themselves feel that they're currently lacking. So if you're interested on joining us, we have 3 key channels in which you can engage with us. The first one is through our social media. Sorry about this. Our social media. Right now we are in Facebook, Slack, and LinkedIn. You can also join our events. Last year we organized 26 events in 8 different countries, which were quite successful. But then also you can represent EIT Women in any event that you go to. And if you want to have more of an active role, we have this role of local leaders. Last year we had 10 local leaders, and they were basically the backbone of our network. And we will open the applications in September. So if you're interested in joining us, just see our social media, and we will be posting everything there. Now I will quickly give the spotlight to Cynthia for her to tell us a little bit about eForce.
Yes, thank you so much, Yolanda and Maria. I'm very excited to be here. So what we do is that we are the people behind the series, I Don't Know How She. So Yolanda attended our first webinar, and she had the wonderful idea to co-host I don't know how she co-founded. So I'm very excited about that. So we initiated this idea in May 2020, and the people behind this is Larissa, Kushbu, and myself. And the main reason why I decided to create this series is to raise awareness about the gender bias and obstacles that female entrepreneurs face while trying to build and grow their ventures, because I've found the statistics and they're really, really bad. So, and it's not really a space for women to come and to learn more and actually to have our allies, because we need men as well to join. So that's the main reason why we created this series. And so for the participants that are here right now, if you are from the EIT Health Alumni Network, or if you are from not from the network, it's not a problem. If you have any idea for the series, and if you wanted to know how we can help you to create a webinar like this one, please do not hesitate to contact us. We'll be more than happy to have you hosting our webinar as well. And I really want to say that we already going to have a fourth one on the making, and it's going to take place in August 27th. And it is, I don't know how she leads it. So I really hope you guys would join us as well. And I give the floor back to Maria. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia. Now we're going to move to our speakers. Well, before that, you're going to be seeing these QR codes throughout the whole event, just in case you're interested in joining our network. So you can just take your phone out and put the camera on, and they'll take you to where you can sign up.
Yeah, and that way you will be able to belong and organize all these kind of events that Cynthia was mentioning, Maria.
Yeah, exactly. And before we go for our speakers, we organized the Q&A session in a way that throughout the presentations, if you have any questions, you can just raise them in the Q&A tab you see at the bottom of the screens. And then one of the members of the team will gather all the questions together. And once we're done with the panel discussion, then we will raise them up to our speakers. So having said this, it's time to introduce our first speaker of the event, which is Martina Viduka. Martina is a registered nurse in emergency and geriatric health. She's passionate about nurses being the drivers of healthcare innovation. And as a result, she has co-founded Advosense, which aims at providing adequate tools for the nursing community to provide quality care for geriatric patients. Please, Martina, the floor is yours to tell us a little bit more about your own journey.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks for having me here today. I'm really excited to be here with you all to discuss my journey and what it is to be a female founder. So as mentioned, I am one of the co-founders of Advosense alongside Erin in the gray shirt in the photo. And we're also working with our core team member, Grace Ann. She's in the black shirt. So we all come from really different places and background, which has made the journey super interesting thus far and quite exciting. I myself am originally from Canada. As mentioned, I've been a nurse for over 10 years, mainly working in the emergency department, but also doing various missions up in Northern Canada to Indigenous reserves in underserved areas. And I was also really lucky to have a stint out in Congo with Mercy ships. But really my passion and drive kind of to become a nurse was always to be a leader and to create change in healthcare and advocate for the elderly. But I really wanted this bedside experience also to kind of give me the credibility to really know what was needed. And I went into nursing for this reason, but then I loved it. So I ended up staying for a very long time. But then I started getting involved in nursing leadership initiatives. So here I was working on changing the way that doctors and nurses provide care in hospitals through improving processes. And this is really when it became clear to me that nurses at the bedside are the eyes and ears of the patient, and that they're really the secret innovators, the leaders in healthcare. And this kind of drove me to pursue leadership initiatives, but really with a big push from my female mentors who I was inspiring to be. So when I looked at entrepreneurship in healthcare, I started to wonder, where are all the nurses? And nurses being a female dominated profession, I thought, where are all the women? I mean, in nursing, we see a lot of female nursing unit managers and C-level leadership, but when you go outside these organizations, they kind of seem to disappear. So I decided to go for it. And I went over to Maastricht in the Netherlands to pursue my master's in health policy, innovation, and management. And that is where I met Erin, the other co-founder. And I'll give you a little background about her. So Erin is an amazing woman. She is originally from the US, where she worked as a management consultant for projects for the Obamacare Act, for example. She also decided it's time to go get her master's, and she came over to Maastricht. She ended up moving to Berlin as well and is now pursuing her PhD at the TU Berlin and working on projects with the European Observatory in Health Systems and Policies. So Erin, her practicality, her analytical skills, resilience, I mean, these are all admirable, and they've really built part of the core strengths to Advosense. Yeah, and she brings her business and finance skills and her expertise to health systems into the team. Grace Ann, she's such a strong and articulate communication style. Her professionalism and critical eye is outside of the healthcare industry is really vital to the team. So she comes from the UK. She started out in politics and policy research, ended up moving to Berlin and got really into the startup scene here. She's worked with startups and scale-ups, bringing her expertise into go-to-market strategies and product launches. So though we have a great founding team thus far, we're still not complete and really excited to expand this further and diversify the team. So today is also really helpful for us to learn from others. Okay, so what are we working on? So we're working on a solution for incontinence care, and this is for health hospitals and nursing homes. Basically, we're working on a disposable brief, so an adult diaper, and the diaper itself is embedded with a sensor. And essentially the sensor monitors the patient's for incontinence, and when their brief becomes wet, it sends a notification to the nurse so they can go and easily change them, providing optimal care and bringing efficiency to the process and ultimately quality of life to the patients. So, I mean, our mission at Advosense is that we really want to change the way that we feel about aging and how we should care for our elderly. Our health system is really complex, and patients are getting older and sicker, and processes aren't changing. So we really want to provide caregivers the right tools so they can provide this quality of care. So onto the journey of what the challenges and what it comes to being a female founder for me. I mean, being a female as a founder is not such a new topic. Medicine is very traditionally patriarchal, and though again, nursing and healthcare is generally female dominated, it's still quite a factor, and there's still a divide. So to be here in Germany, where there are way more male founders than females, I think it's 15%, correct me if I'm wrong. To me, this is not something new that I am exposed to. I think for me, what the most challenging and interesting part is, I feel like here I'm being kind of hit with this double hit that I'm experiencing here in Germany as a founder. So not only being female in a leadership position, but also how nurses, the outlook on nurses. So in North America, we do have a Bachelor of Science. We're a regulated profession. We have a lot more autonomy and decision-making process. And the playing field is at a different level between interprofessionally. And we do have a pretty strong political voice. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's come a long way. My experience thus far in Germany is different. And when I've talked to other nurses and nursing leaders in the country, it seems that they have a long way to go. But it's also an exciting time for change and more options for nurses to get involved in leadership and in entrepreneurs. Yeah, so so not only am I trying to kind of gain this support as a female founder, but also as a nurse founder in this medical tech startup world. So yeah, this is an important topic for me, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martina. It was actually super interesting to know how I was not aware of these differences between the US and Berlin on the nursing field. So thank you very much. And I look forward to our discussions. Yolanda, would you like to introduce our second speaker?
Yes, thank you, Martina. And I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker. It's Joana Paiva. She holds a PhD in physics from the Faculty of Science of Porto University and a master in biomedical engineering in the University of Coimbra, with a specialization on neurosciences. Joana has 3 patent submissions and more than 30 scientific papers. She is also invited professor at Abel Salazar Institute for Biomedical Sciences of the University of Porto, and she has a high level of knowledge in photonics and artificial intelligence. Joana is the CTO of iLOF, and she was named one of Forbes 30 under 30 for scientific healthcare. It's great to have you here, Joana. So happy to hear your experience.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. So I don't know if you are hearing me well.
Perfect.
Okay, and thank you so much, you all, for and it's a pleasure to be here trying to explain my journey, and so the journey of iLOF as well, and how the iLOF was created, and how I was able to find my co-founders. So as Yolanda explained, I'm the technical director of iLOF. So I'm here more to explain how so I've tried to found this this spin-off that was a spin-off from a university. So all this journey came out from a technology that was created based on my PhD research. So all my journey began with the development of a device that was based on optical fibers. So optical fibers that we use at our homes in order for the connectivity of the internet. So very simple devices. But at first it begins to try to understand the circulating cells, cancer circulating cells, and how these cells could be used in order to understand and do a disease prognosis as cancer prognosis for helping physicians to try to apply the best treatment and the most suitable treatment to patients. Using only light and artificial intelligence. However, I find out that, for example, the flow cytometry, I'm so sorry because I've been with some problems here with the control of the presentation. So I found out that, for example, the flow cytometry was like a competitive analysis, a competitive approach that could also do this kind of analysis. So, for example, analyzing circulating cells and discover the hidden patterns of that could also indicate so these data patterns and do disease prognosis as well. Then I've tried to develop these technologies in order to target so proteins and peptides, so as little particles as possible that could be found into the bloodstream. And for that there were not competitive technologies, and there was a big need because, for example, physicians were not capable of finding technologies and techniques that were capable of trying to get so data patterns for so nanoscale, so tiny nanoscale particles. So then I came out with a technology that is capable of through light signature and using artificial intelligence to trying to collect signatures of diseases and trying to do disease prognosis and patient stratifications in order to get the best the best treatment for a specific patient. However, all of this was designed in a technical perspective, in a scientific environment, in a collaboration with my beloved co-founder, Dr. Paulo Sampaio, that you can see on the right. We have been trying to develop this technology for 7 years ago. However, it was a technology, and so the business side, the markets, so our value proposition, everything about this was not defined yet, and so it was the time that we had to focus on so in which markets there was a need in order to get and apply this technology. That was the moment when I met Luis, because Luis worked into the same R&D institute that I was working as well. And then we decided to apply to the EIT Health Wildcards initiative in the 2019. And it was quite an adventure, because we applied with this technique, but we had not a use case yet defined. In that year, so the challenges were into specific areas. It was on the brain health and digital biomarkers. And the final aim was the final grant was an investment of 2 million euros of course to found this a startup within one of these 2 main topics. Of course, that we have a technology, but we had not a scope, and that was a very challenging topic in order to discover, because we have to focus on the markets and we have to analyze which would be the value proposition that we have to propose to our clients. Of course, that it was very, very challenging in terms of trying to pitch for investors, because it was like going around the business models, and so we began at first with the use case of the brain tumors. Because the first use case that I tried with this technology was about cancer metastasization. So it made sense that I've tried to apply to brain tumors. But then according to the market size and according to the amazing background and amazing feedback that we had from the mentors from the Wildcard initiative, we have to do some turnaround changes on our business model, and we focus the technology for the stratification tool for improving the clinical trial experience into the Alzheimer's diseases, because there was no based on more than 100 interviews that we made for experts into the roles background of the leaders that were researching to the Alzheimer's field. They said that there was not an overview of the biological mechanisms behind the diseases, and so it is very difficult to find a specific biomarker, and the key could be to try to look for disease profiles and to try to look for a tool that could do that disease profiles in a low cost and fast way. Then the PET scan and the lumbar puncture that are the gold standard techniques that are used today. So the Wildcard initiative, so it is based on these steps, and then so the last 8 months, more or less, are based on acceleration stage, a business model acceleration stage, where we focused on trying to validate the business model focused on the Alzheimer's disease. So at first we had the hackathon, but it was really within the stage of the acceleration of the business model that we produced the majority of the materials that we even today we use for presenting to the pharma industry. And it was during this acceleration period that we interviewed more than 100 stakeholders, including persons from biobanks, so the leaders of the most important biobanks that are providing even to us, because we have in our minus 80 fridges more than 1,000 samples from Alzheimer patients. We interviewed the principal investigators for the majority of the studies that are conducting within the Alzheimer clinical trials, and we also interviewed. We fortunately get in contact with the research PIs of the pharma industries with the headquarters of the Central Europe. It was really a nice experience within the Wildcard initiative. And even today, we use that same contacts in order to get some of our insights for the commercial plans that we have. So then, during this Wildcard initiative, we met Mehek. So Mehek is our fourth element in our team of founders. She's a PhD from Oxford in pathology, and she's currently leading our strategy of the company, and is taking part of all the connections that we have with the pharma companies and with our partners that are providing us with the samples and with academic partnerships. So Mehek is based on Oxford. So regarding where we are based, so it was like a problem, of course, because we were based all of we at the first from different backgrounds and from different places. It was a very difficult questions to choose the best place to base the company. For example, we were discussing France, Spain, because Luis, Paula, and me are based in Portugal. Mehek was based in UK. But then we decided to in a mixture. So we have our technical headquarters in Portugal, and we have our commercial headquarters in UK, and now so the iLOF is based in UK as well. So then we have a mixture compromised, and we are blessed to have been awarded by several recognitions, and so very recently by an investment from Microsoft as well. So thank you so much for all the attention, and I'm very pleased to to comment on several questions that you can have. Thank you.
Thank you, Joana, for such a nice presentation. Thank you for giving us what is the perspective from a CTO to get actually like your founding and to find a team, because you started on your own and then eventually found Luis and the rest of the team. So that is very interesting to hear. Guys, as you have asked, here are the QR codes. Be ready. We're going to be posting them a couple of more times for more time, but now it is time to go for our third speaker of the day.
Sorry, let me welcome Catarina Rocha as our third speaker for the event. She studied pharmaceutical science and health economics and has more than 5 years of experience in the healthcare field. She loves to question the status quo of things and constantly seeks solutions to close the gender gap. And as a result, basically, she has already founded 3 different startups. So welcome, Catarina. We're really looking forward to hear your experience.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. So I will start to say, yeah, I will share more my personal story as a female founder and not focusing. As you mentioned, yeah, I found EIT Health. I founded in Portugal as well, CoWoman, and I'm also a mentor in Founder Institute Berlin, and and I'm a mentor in the Female Founder Initiative in Leipzig Graduate School of Management. And I would like to share a little bit about my story, because I didn't start for having like an entrepreneurial mindset at all. I was a random girl taking like a pharmaceutical science course, and I never had contact with startups in Portugal. 12 years ago, it was not such a buzzword there. So I was just having my 9-to-5 work. But I don't know, one day I decided to take a new step in my life, and I went abroad, and I went to Norway. I worked there for a pharmaceutical company for 2 years, you know, again, having a full-time job. And I don't know, this one day I just get sick of working for a boss, male boss, of course, because all my life we were surrounded. Actually, like nursing and pharmacy, community pharmacy, it's surrounded by women, but if you go to like pharmaceutical chains, and so it's a male dominant world as well. And I was like sick of having a male boss, and I decided to have something on my own. And I had this instinct of, I talked with some friends, and everyone told me, oh, go to Berlin. Berlin is the startup hub. And yeah, I decided to trust my instincts, and I quit my job. I didn't have anything in Berlin. Everyone told me, oh, you're crazy, but I was absolutely sure that it was the way I wanted. And so I just packed my luggage and moved to Berlin. And you know, the truth is, yeah, this is the day in the life of an entrepreneur. And the startup world is hard and unpredictable, but it's kind of exciting to go in this roller coaster. But still, it's a day that you feel different emotions. And you know, when I moved to Berlin, I thought, you know, wow, I will have my startup, I will change the world, everything's going to be easy and successful. And then things were not like that. I started joining a startup with a girl. We were working together for 8 months, and the biggest things that didn't went well. We kind of in the end realized we want different things. And the biggest learning that I had from her and from this experience was always take care of your co-founder. I don't know if you have husbands, if you have boyfriends, but besides family, your co-founder is the most important person of your life. And this is a really always take care of your co-founder. And this is the first learning advice that I want to give you, all of you. And the second is like, don't be afraid of, you know, taking steps, because we women, if you think about it, we actually are the part of the society that brings new people to the world. We give babies, and for some reasons, we are the ones that we are creating the world. So, and when I talk about babies, it's actually our natural state to be productive, right? And to bring new ideas and to bring new business and new things to life. So guys are only here to add things, let's say this. But as women, we are here to bring new things. So don't forget about take new steps and always take care of a co-founder. And yeah, Yolanda kindly shared with me some questions that you did beforehand, and I will try to answer along my presentation. So how do you determine what roles that you need at the beginning of the business? So you already took the step, congratulations. So what is next? We tend to getting the expectation, like we tend to get overloaded. We think that we can handle everything and with no balancing, but the truth is we need people, we need supporting. And what I advise to do, the first step is take a hard look into yourself and your business and make a list of the strengths and weaknesses and write it down. And so you can understand what are you actually looking for as a future element of your team. So write it down. What is the perfect fit for you according to the strengths and the weakness that you thought. And how would you recommend, okay, and how did you find, and already you write down the strengths and weaknesses, how do you find those people? And the thing is, for my actual company, Inno Health, normally the expectation is go like social media and some recruiters and so, but I found some matching, like Co-Founders Lab. LinkedIn is an amazing tool to find people. Just write it down on LinkedIn, tag some people. This networking, supporting net is really important in this stage. And yeah, and just go through it. And actually, I found one of my co-founders I found in a networking event, an event of co-founders. And the other one was I was looking for on LinkedIn, and someone recommended her, and I'm really happy about it. So just use those main tools, LinkedIn, matchmaking, and yeah, I think it's the best way to go for it. And how do you onboard? Like, so you already found the person, and how do you onboard? So that's like the expectation, like we are so busy, we don't have time, just start working and working. But the truth is, yeah, as I said, so the startup world is hard and unpredictable work. So it's the time, the right time when you take on board to jointly commit. And it's not only about have the same I like your idea, but it's important that the person embraces the same vision as you. And most importantly, you have to find, like, you have to be with someone that it's comfortable to ask the hard questions. So you have to be with someone that you don't hesitate to ask the hard questions, because and not everything is like flowers and pink and beautiful. And so you have to be with someone that you are comfortable enough to openly even have the hardest discussions. And yeah, I mean, embracing your vision, actually find some hobbies or sports to get acquainted. At Inno Health, we aim sometimes to make a lunch or dinner together, or, you know, we are aiming also to do some events together. So find also some common hobbies, or, you know, to get acquainted is also good to strengthen bonds. Yeah, and always listen to your heart in this process of decision making. Okay, is it the right co-founder? Are we going to work? I think it's important to find a combination, like between your brain and your heart, and like be rational, but don't let your feelings get overwhelm with you, and try to understand. I think, like, you have to think, is this too hard? Maybe it's because it's not working. So find the right combination between being emotional and rational, and between heart and brain. And don't only focus on hard work and build a startup itself. Focus on building a happy company. And again, like, find common hobbies, try to do besides work extra activities, and that's the best way to align also the values. And also try, if you want to experiment, do a trial period, let's say a 4 weeks trial, and so to assure that deliver as they say. And I'm on my last slide. Check your gut feeling, trust your instincts, and I mean, just follow what your instinct says, because it's mostly right. And I end up my presentation. You know, it don't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be equal, the same as you. You just need to complement. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. and Catarina. It was really, thank you for your honesty in your presentation. Like, it was super interesting and refreshing to listen to how organically you went into the entrepreneurial world by trusting your intuition, regardless of how crazy it was to change at first.
Totally, and also how brave you were to just drop it and follow your dream and your guts, and you just went for it.
So Yolanda, do you want to introduce the last speaker?
Totally. QR codes again, people join us. We are very excited to have new people in our communities. And well, for our last speaker of the day, we have Lina Behren. Lina is the managing director at Flying Health, an organization that supports the next generation of healthcare. She was named one of the 20 women in digital health in Germany by Female 10, and is a vice president of the German Startup Association. She developed and implemented innovative ways of financing for health and social care projects. Lina holds an MBA from the London School of Economics and an MBA and a bachelor degree in Economics and International Affairs from the University of St. Gallen. We are very excited to have you here, Lina, and to hear what you think makes a team successful and what have you seen in your experience. Before going to Lina, I just want to remind you, please, on the Q&A box, send your questions for the later Q&A session for all the speakers so that we can answer all your questions. Lina, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Yolanda. Actually, in case anybody is going to look my name up, it's actually spelled incorrectly. It's Behrens. Maybe you can send it out later. Anyway, welcome everyone also from my side. My name is Lina Behrens. I'm one of the managing directors at Flying Health. And before explaining a bit more about what we are doing at Flying Health, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am an economist by training. I'm originally from northern Germany, from the lovely city of Bremen. For the ones who haven't been there, it's definitely worth a visit. I spent 13 years abroad in Switzerland, the UK, and then in Colombia and Latin America. And in the UK, I worked for the Boston Consulting Group in their healthcare team, then joined a social enterprise called Social Finance, where we looked at innovative ways to finance health and social care. And when the Brexit discussions started, I had been living in the UK for 6 years and was just thinking whether I should apply for the British citizenship, and then actually decided that London wasn't the place for me anymore, and decided to move to Bogota, to Colombia. In Bogota, I joined one of the largest company builders in Latin America called Polymath Ventures, where I helped scale up companies in transport, in food, and also a fintech, and had a really, really inspiring time before moving to Berlin in early 2018. And that's also when I joined Flying Health. And actually, as you may see, I wasn't actually the one looking for a co-founder at the time, but I was the one being found to become one of the managing directors at our company. So Flying Health is an ecosystem for next generation healthcare. We work with large industry players ranging from payers to providers, pharma, medtech, but also some companies outside of the traditional healthcare system. We, for instance, had a project with Audi when they were thinking about how they could use the time that people spend in their self-driving cars related to healthcare. So we are basically looking at all the ways that the healthcare system may change, what kind of trends there are, and help our partner companies understand what it means for their business model, whether there might be any potential new business models for them. We also work with a variety of startups, and that often involves my team and myself mentoring the founders, including how to find a co-founder. So, for instance, today I just had the pleasure to get off the phone talking to 3 different teams at the Grace Female Accelerator here in Berlin that is currently ongoing. And it was fantastic to see also the kind of questions they ask which also included thinking through what it means to be a female founder, actually. As Yolanda mentioned, I'm also one of the vice presidents at the German Startup Association. As part of this role, I am also working to foster female entrepreneurship. We actually launched the Female Founders Monitor in Germany every year, and we saw this year that 15.7% of founders in Germany are female, compared to 15.1% last year. So basically, we saw no difference. I think Martina also mentioned earlier the difficulties of being a female leader and also a female founder in Germany earlier on, which I always find fascinating, having spent so much time abroad and then coming back here and realizing to what extent it is still a very conservative society and how much work we still need to do. We are actually in the process of writing a paper on how to position or how to help women also become founders and also possible co-founders, I guess. And we looked at the barriers such as access to finance, missing links to networks, which I think EIT Health can already help with, but also the set roles in our societies that I think we should all work on to start changing it. So I actually believe that addressing these barriers is always easier in a team. Thus, I'd like to share some of the insights from what I've seen working with a variety of different startups on how to find a co-founder, primarily within digital health, but I guess a part of it you can also apply to other areas. It's also based on the work with my co-MD Laura here at Flying Health, where we were kind of more matched from the outside, but we realized that some of the things could actually be applied to some of the startups as well. So I think you should look at three main areas when you talk to possible co-founders. The first one is complementary skills. The second one is a matching personality. And the third one is around your and their management and working style. So talking about skills, especially in digital health, we often see a combination of science/medical, then secondly tech, and thirdly business that is needed to set up and scale successful digital health startups. From my experience, very often the ideas are being generated by the scientific or medical co-founders, which we also saw a few of today, which I believe is fantastic. What I've seen so far, I mean, there's some people who are really, really good in their scientific areas who can also lead teams and look at the business side. But from the majority of startups that I've worked with, the ones who are most successful are the ones where each of the founders actually knows what their strengths are. And often the scientific idea generators realize that maybe the business side is not quite the area that their strengths are in. I've also seen companies actually fail because the scientific founder didn't quite realize that and thought that he or she could do all of this themselves. So I would really encourage you to think through, I know the idea is your baby and you want to bring it forward. So what is the best way to actually approach it? What are the skills that you have that you're strong at? And what are the skills that maybe you're lacking and where it would be helpful to find a co-founder to really complement each other? But skills is not everything. For a founder team to really be successful, there needs to be also a matching personality. But how do you know from the outside whether a personality might match? I guess the first part, and it sounds so easy, but it's still super hard to know, is what is your own personality? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the things where your team might actually be annoyed with and talk about over lunch when they just had a meeting with you, right? And try to be as honest to yourself as you possibly can. That's super complicated. And I know this myself, right? Like, it's sometimes so hard to see the areas. I mean, I know we are all very critical, but then to actually then say, okay, this is something I might need help with. And this is also a way that another personality might actually clash with myself is quite complicated. But as an example, Laura and I are super different. Like, I'm on the, I don't know whether you know the 16 personalities or the MBTI. There's the different, that's kind of a way to not talk about your own weaknesses or strengths, but also talk about it in a way that each personality has their pros and can actually be really helpful in a team. I'm on the very, very extrovert side, and Laura is on the very or is relatively introvert. So I know that I can annoy her so much sometimes when I'm the one talking a lot. But we actually addressed this and we talked about it. And there's definitely moments where she's just there and she's like, can you please, with your extrovertness, make sure that the team like gets the energy that we actually need in this discussion. So actually knowing this and knowing where, who might be the right person to step in at what time is super important. I think it's quite hard to test this from the outside when you're just on the lookout for finding the right co-founder. But these kind of personality tests might be one way to do this. And I've used them in a lot of different teams. So to actually help talk about it, not in a you do this and that annoys me way, but also in a our two personalities may have complicated situations in that way or on that way. And as we heard before, I think one of the most important things is your gut feel. If it doesn't feel right, it probably won't be right. No, even if all the skills sound like it would be the perfect match, even if on paper the personality sounds like it's the perfect match, if your stomach tells you it's not the right match, it probably won't be. And this, by the way, doesn't only apply to finding your co-founder, it also applies for any hiring decisions. Yeah, I've unfortunately learned this the hard way a few times, but you do get better. And sometimes after, we always, for every single job that we offer at Flying Health, we always do an assessment day. And sometimes it's very hard to actually put it on, to actually say what exactly it is. But if your gut doesn't say it's right, then it just doesn't feel right. Finally, the third part is about a similar approach to management and working styles, which I think is key. Now, it doesn't mean that the two of you need to have the same working style or the same management style. Actually, again, Laura and I are really different. And if you were to ask the team, I think they would tell you, oh my God, if you work with Lina, it's that way. If you work with Laura, your presentation needs to look a different way. But what is really important is to set the values so that you are aligned on the values and where you want to go, so that the way you implement it is then doesn't really matter, because you will still get to the, like, you still have the core values that are behind it. And I believe that this is one of the most important things. And if you think that from the skill side and the personality side, you have found somebody, do make sure that you have this value discussion earlier on so that you're aligned here. Right, to summarize and end up, for me, the three main points in finding a co-founder are the matching skills. So if you are already fantastic in business development, maybe you don't need a second person in business development, maybe find somebody who's complementary to you. A matching personality where you are both very honest about your strengths and weaknesses and have a look at how this can play out and actually have a discussion about it. And then thirdly, set common values and have a similar approach to management or working styles so that you can actually build a successful business together. Right, I'm really looking forward to our panel discussion, which I think will happen now. And thank you, Maria and Yolanda, for organizing this.
Thank you very much, Lina. It was really interesting and very to the point, all the advice that you've given to find a co-founder. So I really look forward to all the discussion that the four of you may raise in the next section. So as we mentioned earlier, we are gonna start the discussion with the set of 4 questions that we have prepared for the 4 of you. And then we will open the floor for the questions that have been raised by the audience, which our team member Ikram will gather up together. So to start with, I'm gonna start with the first question. So when you decide to work with someone that you haven't worked before, there's a certain process that you have to go through in which, as some of you mentioned, you learn how to work with each other and what works best for the dynamics that are being created between the co-founders. And for this question, we were interested to know a little bit about that initial process. So how do you build trust between you and your co-founder? How do you learn to not step into each other's shoes and to support each other in the task that you're doing? So who would like to start on this?
I can start.
Great.
Great. So, I mean, I think this trust thing for me is a bit of an easy one. As I said before, as I'm an emergency nurse, I really learned to really rely and trust on my team members. And in order to really accomplish a goal and get things done, it needs to be a group effort. So I've kind of translated this into helping colleagues within our Advosense team. And actually, trust is one of our core values at Advosense that we have. And striving to have this dynamic and diverse different team, we really use, just as Lina says, our complementary strengths to achieve our goals and bring our differences in to achieve this, and kind of trust that everyone will show up. So we're not stepping on each other's shoes. And going to also into the ways of working, definitely everyone has different styles and we're not trying to micromanage those, but we do have like certain tools and certain touch points so that everyone's aligned with. And, but again, I think being able to let people take a step back and people really not getting in the way of their good of work. I think it's really about this trust, building respect and autonomy, and honing in on that. So.
Great, thank you. And then Ana Catarina, in your presentation, you mentioned a lot about, for example, going to events together or doing sports together, like getting a bit out of the scenery of the startup itself, for example. Like, do you want to comment a little bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I totally agree with what Martina said. I think it involves a little bit of trust, but also it doesn't mean exactly that the person has to be think the same way you think. You know, diversity is important as well, and I believe also like build strength, not like strength boundaries, the bonds not only in the business side but also outside business, because trust is how trust is built, and how we as a perfectionist, I have to for me it's really I had to learn how to let it go some tasks and trust completely on others. But now for me so easily, once I get this trust and check on my instincts, and so I think it's really important. And of course it's important to have some kind of trial period, because it's a marriage, right? And you have to give yourself the time to get to know this person before going on a business with them.
Yeah, great, thank you. And then Lina, I was wondering, like, of course you have the experience as a co-founder yourself, but then you also enable a lot of teams to build together. So from more of an outside perspective, what types of tools or mechanisms do you use to support the team on building trust?
I think one of the most important approaches is to have feedback with each other earlier on, but have that feedback not in front of the team or in a moment when you're annoyed with, but actually make sure that you take that time, talk to each other, and then actually say, look, that situation, that was fantastic, but maybe on that one, I would have approached it differently. Can we talk about this? Or also talk about small things that might annoy you, so that it doesn't, when there's a lot of small things kind of dripping into a bowl or something, and then suddenly there's one more small thing and it just kind of floats over, making sure that doesn't happen. And I think a regular feedback discussion can definitely help. Maybe also outside of the office, so maybe go and have a strategy session, a regular one, be it maybe once a quarter, whenever it suits you, to just not be in the day-to-day working, but actually take the time for this.
Okay, great. Nice, thank you. And then, Joana, I was wondering, because I think you could relate a lot with what Lina mentioned on these 3 levels of things that you look for when you look for a co-founder: the skills, the personality, and maybe the working style, since it was like your idea and then you had to build a team. Do you want to share a little bit your experience with that?
Yes, of course. In fact, it was a matter of coincidence when I met my co-founders. So it was in terms of I agree in part with Ana Catarina said, because it was a kind of inspirational thing. It was a kind of a thought that you have about that specific person. It's a thing that you feel in your heart that, okay, I think that I can work with that person, and we can do a lot of things together. And what we can do can be very powerful. Yeah, it's a kind of inspirational thing at the end of the day.
Nice. Great. Thank you. It was really, really insightful. If does any one of you have any other point to raise from what it's been said, or shall we move to the next person? Okay, then Yolanda, you want to introduce it?
Yeah, I think we're fine then. Yes, thank you for very insightful comments and presentations. Lina, I wanted to say that we will be very grateful if you could share with us the paper when the paper is published, once you have it published, because I think all the community will be super interested in it. So we will for sure spread it out. And our next question is about finding a team member, but in the beginning, when you are beginning your idea, when you are like in this very moment when you say, maybe you're following your guts and maybe you say like, okay, I have this idea, it has potential, maybe I can find someone to support me, or maybe someone else thinks that this also has potential, and how to find a co-founder in that period of time. Yeah, I don't know who would like to open the floor.
No, we can choose one.
Well, I can start, but I think the other three will have to jump in. So I think Catarina was actually the one mentioning that talking to your network might be one of the most important things. So I think when people see how excited you are about your idea, even if it's at a very early stage, and they know you well, they might also know other people who might be interested in it. And that's kind of the way, like there is this kind of a more theory of networks where it might not be the closest 10 friends, but more the people you kind of meet somewhere who then can tap into other networks that you might not otherwise have access to. So being out and about, talking to people, even if it's digital discussions, that's definitely helpful. Another way might be to join programs where it is actually about co-founders, be it a longer session such as an accelerator, or not that I work for them or anything, but like there's the main one that a lot of people know is this Entrepreneurs First one, where people come up when they have very early ideas that may or may not be the right one for you, but maybe there's other programs or other discussions to specifically find co-founders and match them.
Yeah, thanks, Lina. I think that is very insightful. And as you said, sometimes just being open, it's open about your idea and sharing it, it's a good step. And probably that's also what happened to some of you. Like, for example, Anna, you just went to Berlin and spread out your idea, probably. How was your experience?
So actually, I enrolled Founder Institute when I moved to Berlin because I needed like an accelerator program to meet people, because I didn't know anyone. And so it opened the door to a huge network. Is where I met for the first time my co-founder, and later on it didn't work, but it was a first experience co-founding with someone, you know, taking the baby steps into this world, and it was an amazing experience regarding that. So taking into in line what Lina said, of course, I mean, we always are scared of, you know, oh, if we share our vision or so, someone will steal it. And, you know, we have this thing, oh, yeah, my idea is precious. I don't want to spread it around. But you shouldn't be afraid to talk about to your network. Your network is really helpful. LinkedIn, I think it's an amazing, again, tool to meet new people and to get your friends connect you with the people that you never see before, but it could be a perfect fit for you. And also Berlin is a really good place to have attend events. Everything is happening. Just go to Eventbrite and search for co-founders events. There's one coming up in the 19th, like a co-founder summer edition, for example. So just go for it, and like, don't be afraid, just tell your needs to the world and you'll get some answers.
Great. I think that it's a very open position and very, like, of course, it's easier to find people if you are open to finding people and to share, and you're in the places where entrepreneurs are, maybe. So, Joanna, you also found your co-founders in different places. Would you like to share a little bit how was that process?
Yes, yes, of course. So me, Luis, and Paula are from the same country, but so Mehek is living in UK for almost 2 years, and it's working with us as well. So it's a very challenging process, of course, because we have to work remotely. So among us, the four. But at the same time, it's always interesting because it's a way of increasing the potentialities and the probabilities of increasing your network of contacts of the company as well. And of course that we have to improve our communication part in order to get to close as much as we can from each other. So there are a lot of tips that I recommend from the ones that are close, that are working in a remote manner. And so that, for example, trying to work hard on a verbal communication between founders and trying to be close to each other personally as much as you can, for example, and try to think not personally, but trying to think what is the best for the company as much as possible. And trying to respect, for example, each other rhythms and dynamics, because that is very important. We can have different so circadianic rhythms and different hobbies, and that is important for each one of us, and we have to respect that. And trying to be direct with your peers, but I think that someone mentioned that already. And yeah, that is always possible to work even with distance, and it is very important even for the company, because then you can increase, as I mentioned, the possibilities of getting in contact with even more persons, and even with other contacts when you are more concentrated in one place.
Yeah, and as we said, thank you for sharing your thoughts. But also, as we said, we've seen now that it is actually possible that everyone is working at home, and we are doing it. Even if we are in the same city, we're just working in our own home. So yeah, this brings another challenge, but well, it is great to address it as well. Martina, I don't know if you have something to add.
I mean, I think just to give more light on the networks, I mean, this all started for us because Aaron and I decided to go to a female hacking healthathon to network, actually. So we went there to network, and then the idea came about at the female hackathon, and then we won, and that's kind of when we decided, okay, are we going to go forward? So it's kind of that funny loop there. So it was quite easy in terms of my co-founding search with her. And what was nice is we knew each other from our masters, so we worked together a lot. So we knew our working styles. We, as just like Lina, you and I think it was Laura, we are completely different personalities as well. She's an introvert and I'm an extrovert, and we complement each other. And then with Grace Ann in the mix, that came also through networks as well. And what was really nice is we could kind of sit together, and basically the top things were, what were our expectations? What are our boundaries? What are our needs, goals, and just motivation to work on the project? And started with that to see if it would align. And that's kind of where we went from there. So yeah, I mean, now that we're in search of a CTO, I think we'll go back to networking very much so. So hopefully at some of these events and whatnot, but yeah, I would highly recommend going to hackathons.
Great. Thank you, Martina. And I do agree with you. I think if you go to the place where things are happening, it is easier for you to get something to happen. Like Ana Catarina said, just move to Berlin, or just go to hackathons or look for people, or like just LinkedIn search. So if you are active, things move with you as well. So I also like that thing to take that as a insight of today. And Maria, you would like to go with the next question?
Yes, actually, our next question was about remote working and how to co-found a startup or like remotely. So Joana has already answered that question, I would say. So I would go for the fourth question if you want, Yolanda.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Go for it.
So the fourth question, and we would like to kind of close a little bit all the knowledge of the day on this on these answers. We would like to know, and we know this is not an easy question, but how can female overcome the double burden of female entrepreneurs that they face in order to have a less gender biased environment? And I know if we knew, we would already fix it. As Lina said, like the numbers are maybe not changing so much, but maybe you have a message from your perspective. What could we do better, and what could we change? How to engage to change a little bit this reality or to improve it? And yeah, maybe Lina, you are now very familiar with this topic. Would you like to start?
Sure, happy to do so. I think one of the most important ways to address this burden is to make female entrepreneurs and female leaders more visible. So I think there is very often the tendency for women, when they're being asked to join a panel or a discussion or deliver a keynote or whatever it is, to say, well, I actually have other priorities, or I already work a lot, or I just don't feel comfortable speaking up or standing on the stage. Unfortunately, still more so than many of our male counterparts do, without wanting to be too gender specific. Maybe as an example, so as part of the board member at the German Startup Association, we have a board that is half women, half men. And still, even though all of us are all successful in what we're doing, I can totally see that every time somebody is being asked to do something external, chances are higher that one of the male board members will say yes. And if it's something internal, it's more likely that it's one of us women. And I think this visibility just makes it much easier also for other people to see, hey, there are successful women. These are role models. And by the way, they're not all robots. They're also doing things in different ways. There's so many different female leadership styles, which I think we should all see. And I think we all, like every single one of us in this call, not only on the panel, has a real responsibility to just say, well, I'm not going to say no. I will just go up there and speak and be more visible, as we are all role models, like even if you think you may not be. So if you ever are being offered the stage, just take it. I'm sure you will do great. Just go out of your comfort zone. And then I think we can all change it together.
Thank you for the encouragement, Lina, and for the inspiration. And I'm pretty positive that we will see a lot of women going founding after this event, and not only this one, but the whole series of events that we are working together with EIT Women. And I agree that it is our responsibility also to make our work, to show our work to everyone and be proud of it, because sometimes we try to be humble, but humble is not about sharing, but also it's not about hiding, but about also sharing from my experience and from what I do. So maybe Martina, you would like to continue?
Yeah, sure. Actually, going on to Lina's point with the leadership styles, I think what's really important to understand is that there is differences, and kind of not across the board trying to make these female leadership styles fit in or do any role switching, just really understanding the differences and working with them and normalizing these. So not saying, okay, we have to be super forward and this is a male quality to be this way, but really just making space for all the unique attributes. And this goes beyond gender, and just allowing for that and understanding boundaries But I think, again, it's easier when you have the support of your outside community and events like this and relationships. And also, I think for me, at least with this journey, it's been about understanding my boundaries and my balance of how to play into these roles and push forward as a female leader.
I fully agree with you, and I think what you just said reminds me a lot of this slide that Ana Catarina had with the expectations of what it is to be a founder in the Lion, and then all the team, what it is in reality is all this team that is there backing you up, and that is the one that can ensure you to be there. Like, we are not here because we just stand up, but also because we have a team that support us, and that, I mean, it is fair enough if you want to be a different kind of leader, or if you say like, I'm more introvert, I'm more extrovert, and everyone can take their own role as soon as we are just ourselves. I think that is also a great thing to keep in mind when we are co-founding. And maybe, Ana Catarina, we would like to continue with this, like how not to be the lion, but also accept help and recognize the help of our co-founders.
Yeah, I think first of all, as I mentioned before in my presentation, is like we have to recognize, like remember ourselves that we are the part of the society that brings new people into the world, and we actually the movers. We are making this world moving forward, and I think there is a need to more voices to be raised, and as Martina mentioned, it's important to integrate more female role models into entrepreneurship programs and supportive initiatives like this event, and that definitely can help combat stereotypes and trigger change, but also provide more communication campaigns that profile and champion women entrepreneurs, because yeah, we need this behind the, is it like the quote, behind a great woman there's 3 or 4 women behind to supporting her. So I think definitely we need always our support group to raise.
True, I fully agree, and it is very important when you feel like you are not alone on this. You have your team, so it doesn't matter, you're gonna take the risks because you have someone to back you up, and that is great. And Joana, I see that you have a great team, and I think that is something, I don't know, from what I see on the LinkedIn, I'm always like, man, these 4, they look like friends. They don't look like they are working at any point, like they just see you super happy every time you have a publication. And maybe you want to give us a note on this.
Probably it's not about, of course, the co-founders that I choose, because I fortunately, regarding that, I'm very happy. It's more about the process, because I've been from the academia space, and it's very difficult to be heard when you are from a scientific background and you are a PhD student. It is very difficult when you have an entrepreneur spirit and you have probably an innovative idea, and you have the possibility of translating your idea, but you have not free will to do that, because or you have a supervisor, you have a huge hierarchy in your system, and I think that the academia environment and background, it imposes largest barriers to the system in order to be an entrepreneur. And that happens to me, and I think that there is a lot of scientists and women scientists that has the same problem as me. So I think that this type of initiatives that EIT Health has, and EIT in overall, and probably similar organisms in US and in other continents as well, must to be published and must be communicated in a more largest and broad view, because they must be aware that you have not, so you have a choice. You cannot be you have not the limitation of a thesis or to publish a paper or to get authorized by your supervisor to have your idea published. So yes, you have the free will to have your idea as well submitted for other initiatives that are around, like in EIT Health or EIT community. And yes, so these ideas must be heard of.
Thank you, Joanna, for the comment. And I think it's a great closure for our panel discussion. It is true that we actually, like the research world, it's close, a little bit tight sometimes. And it is important to remember and to remind each other that it is actually possible to get out of the box and to also say like, okay, I can do this and my ideas are worthy. And I just want to push them through, and being able to push them through and to stand for them, it's super important. So thank you for that reminder. And with that, I would like to close the panel discussion. And I think we have some questions from, I saw earlier some questions from our audience.
Yeah. I think you can start with one here that said that it was for Ana Catarina, and it was saying how in your presentation you mentioned that your first experience as a co-founder was not very successful. And if you could tell a little bit about what you learned from that experience and how you applied it to your next experiences that you had.
Yeah, so definitely, as I mentioned, like always take care of your co-founder is a relationship for life. So that's the thing. Other thing that I learned was definitely, you know, we talk about like trust and also about matchmaking, but this is still business. It's your baby, and it's important that you, from the beginning, you set up like a co-founder agreement, for example, because even things go down the like if it doesn't work out, you have to in the end have to understand like in terms of ownerships, and so it's better if you clarify right from the beginning, because it's a huge battle in the end regarding that. I myself had to let it go, all the project. So what I learned definitely is like establishing an agreement right from the beginning, just to clarify, okay, this is the level of commitment, and this is what is yours, and this is what is mine if we end up not working out. And yeah, I mean, and the biggest is always, I mean, we talk about like my team, we are 6 right now, 3 co-founders and 3 team. Like we are completely different from each other, but that's what for me it's most exciting, because I always have different perspectives when I present something or when we talk about. And yeah, I end up like, instead of as a perfectionist, I always try to put things in the beginning on my way, but now I'm learning like, oh, I understand, you know, I put in other people's shoes and I understand their optics, because you know we come from different backgrounds, we have different we are conditioned in different ways during our entire lives. And yeah, the thing is just always take care of the relationship. Nurture.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I love how openly you talk about how perfectionist you are. I'm also a perfectionist, and you just really have to learn. And I guess that when it's actually your baby as well, that even makes it harder, because you really think that you have the greatest idea in mind. So yeah, thank you very much. I would like to say it's already 6:30, so I think maybe we have room for one more question, and then we have to close the event. But then I don't know if it's okay to say for people to contact you in LinkedIn if they have any questions that they haven't gotten the answer for example. Yeah. Okay, great. So I think we can go for the question of uncertainty. So when you're working with the co-founders, and Catarina mentioned, like the relationship can break, and then the whole project just fails. How do you deal with that uncertainty, that a co-founder might leave the team and things can just flip around?
Crumble.
Who would like to answer?
Well, I can go because, you know, I experienced that in firsthand. It's complicated. I'm not going to, like, when you reach the time that, like, I was the person leaving, but I imagine, like, taking this ultimate step of leaving something that you have been holding on so long, you know, for 8 months. But the thing is, like, first of all, you have to try to look for the reason why he's leaving, and why are if we can work it out or not, if it's just a matter of, you know, someone is being too stubborn, or if it's just that simply doesn't work. And the thing is, when we had our first like big disagreement, the first thing that we did was having a conversation and ask, like, what can I do to help you? So what can I do in order to also, you know, because sometimes we think that we are doing everything, but you know, it's just it's not true. We actually are not doing anything to help, and we're always important to have the conversation and make the hardest questions. So I will go for it. I had at least try everything and ask, like, what can I help you with?
Great, thank you. And then just to close up, there is some questions raised about potential networks or pages to join for people that were either looking for something to co-found or had an idea and co-founded. So would it be okay if you share with us after the event a couple of names that you have in mind, so then we can share with our attendees and they can have that information themselves? Okay, great. Yolanda, would you like to close up?
Yeah, I think, sorry, I was saying it would be great to have everyone can just look on LinkedIn for our speakers, and I think that will be, you can have like nice conversations there and maybe ask the questions that we could not answer, unfortunately, due to time. But it was a very nice session. I think we got very inspired, and at least for me, I'm ready to go and start my own startup. I hope that is the feeling of many of you. Thank you for joining, to all the speakers, Ana Catarina, Joana, Lina, Martina. It was great having you here. Your stories are very inspiring, and you certainly did help us and answer questions. So thank you for joining. Maybe we can move to the giveaway.
Yes, let's do that. So now you're going to be seeing
Thank you.
Go for it, Yolanda.
No, I was just going to say thank you for sticking to the end, and now you will get even more rewards if the conversation was not enough.
Indeed. So we're gonna have a roulette. We're gonna be giving out some books to some of the lucky attendees. So while we see the roulette turning, I would like to ask Yolanda, if you would have to say one word that describes for you this event, what would it be?
Inspiring, definitely. For me, I'm super inspired.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good one.
Nadine.
Yeah. Nadine, yeah. So the way that we will work, it's basically we will contact you through email next week with the information on the books that you can choose from. And then we will arrange how to deliver it to you.
What is your word for the session, Maria?
I think for me is I would say human, because I think all the experiences that were shared were really okay. Wait, Melissa is our second winner. Yay, second winner. Yeah. So as I was saying, I think everyone has shared a very vulnerable experiences, and I think that's also it's what encourages us to want to go for it, because we see what really is going to be like. So yeah, definitely.
I agree. I fully agree. And we have the third winner is Denise Cepeda. Congratulations.
So all the books are going to be on the topic of women entrepreneurship, of course. But then you will be able to choose the one that you like the most.
Yes. Highly. Congratulations.
Okay, we have this is the fifth one, right? Now we're seeing.
Yep.
Camila.
Woohoo!
Well done.
Nice.
All right.
Also,
Turning.
oh no, wait, we have the winner.
Katie. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I was wondering if the speakers have a specific book that they would recommend on the topic of woman entrepreneurship that they would like to share with us.
Jenny, congratulations. And yes, great question, Maria. We will get some ideas of which books to get. You can just type them in the chat. Also, we will be sending a survey for you to tell us what we did right and what we can improve. Stella, congratulations. Yay. Yay, indeed. Yeah, so please don't forget to get to answer your survey. Joanne, congratulations. So actually, yeah, the link to the survey, it's now on the chat, so you can start with it. Also, you will get an email, but while we find the last winners, you can also go for it.
Yeah, actually, from the last event feedback,
Beatrice
is how we developed this event with the panel discussion. So we would really appreciate if you guys honest and constructive feedback, so this series of events gets better and better. Okay, I think we're done.
And we got to the end of. So thank you all. Thank you for joining. Thanks. We will hope that we inspire you and that you will join the EIT alumni and the EIT Health alumni and EIT women. I hope you had scanned the QR codes, and if not, also our webpage. We can send it on the chat. And yeah, thank you to all the team that made this possible, to Maria, who was here co-hosting, but also to those that were not seen, to Ignacio, to Ikram, Audrey, the E-Force, and Robin that could not be present today. But thanks for all the support and for making this possible. And I hope to see you in another event soon.
Thank you so much for everything.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the inspiring conversations.
Definitely.
And we still have some attendees.
Yes. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Shall we stop recording?
Someone is missing.
Audrey, can you stop recording?
Okay, wait.
I think we can stop, right?
Recording if you answer